Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me this evening, right at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. And I've been doing a lot of reaction videos recently, and I think that you guys have asked me to do many of them. Some of them I just picked on my own, but many of them you asked me to do. And I tend to enjoy them because it gives me something to talk about and to see what trends are happening. But something else, it also allows me to showcase what other people are taking as real or true. And they aren't always real or true. Most of these people who do these videos, they don't do these things live. So there's no one there to tell them that's kind of not true or that may not be right. They very often don't have other people there. They simply cherry pick what they want to make a narrative. And don't get me wrong, it works. These people have lots and lots of followers. They create stories that make sense, but that's not valuable for many people. And I'll add one more piece. It often makes people think that what this person is saying is correct because, oops, hold on. I apologize for that if you guys heard that. Because it allows people to think that this is, hold on, let me cut this off here real fast. There we go. Sorry. So it allows people to think that they are correct because no one else is telling them anything else. And that drives me crazy. So I want to bring up, if I could, the idea that capitalism is bad for everything. And I hear that constantly. People attack capitalism as bad for everything. Every problem is because capitalism. That's the issue. But is it? To be forward, capitalism is by no means perfect. It isn't. And for someone to think, oh, it's not. Of course it isn't. It's filled with humans and it will not be perfect. Of course. But it doesn't mean that every single time you hear the word capitalism, it is by default bad. Of course not. So I'm going to play this. Her name is Ashley Embers, and she's young. I think she's Canadian, but I'm not sure. There are a lot of Canadian YouTubers who talk about socialism and stuff like that. A lot of them. But she is she happens to be another young person, and boy, youngsters just hate capitalism. My God, as they're spending all their money on stuff, they just can't stand it, and it's horrible. Okay, so I want to bring up what she talks about, and again, she has over 100,000 people following her. So yeah, I'm a little jelly. True. And she gets hundreds of thousands of views on her videos. Hundreds of thousands. This one that I'm going to show you got almost 250,000 views just on this one video. So she's doing something right, I guess, for her. But anyway, here we go.
The U.S. Surgeon General today declared a new public health epidemic in America: loneliness.
It's true.
I'm 21 years old and I have no friends.
I'm really exhausted from being alone. From waking up to no calls, no texts.
So I don't want to be mean on this. I don't. It's not my goal at all. But I see two young, attractive women. Right? That's a fact. Now, you may not think these women are super attractive yourself. You might be attracted to them. That's fine. I'm a little old for them. But I'm just saying, it'd be creepy if I was around. But I'm just saying, in general, these are young, attractive women. Are you telling me that these two women couldn't go to a local bar or club and chat and find other women who are looking to chat, or find men who are interested in talking to them? I mean, maybe they want to date them, obviously, but maybe not. Who knows? But they're women who could go out. This one at least has a car, right? So she could drive someplace she wants to. Is she not? Is she incapable of doing it? Maybe. And if she is incapable, it has nothing to do with capitalism. So if these two young women, if they are incapable, meaning they're unable to because of a social issue or because of their own mental health or whatever, if that's true, I don't know these women at all, but if it's true, that's not capitalism. That's them. They have some issue or concern they have to work through, either them or family or something. That isn't capitalism. But that's what's under this. Loneliness is real. There's no doubt. I bring it up constantly. What I always tell you, loneliness is what's killing our children. I've been saying that since 2018. I said that on Joe Rogan. That's my words. 3 things I said on Joe Rogan in 2018. I said, what's killing our children? I said, lack of purpose, lack of community, and loneliness. Those are the 3 things that are killing our children. And here we are, what's it, 6 years later, 7 years later, and now she's doing a TikTok on it. I said it on Rogan 7 years ago. And now she's like, and I'm lonely. Well, that wasn't capitalism, though, was it? It wasn't.
and no checkups.
People don't have time for each other. Like, it's just something.
They don't have time for each other. That's what he just said. They don't have time for each other. Dude, you're doing TikToks. You got time. They're doing TikToks. They got time. That's a bullshit excuse. They don't have time. They're doing TikToks. Well, you could do a TikTok. You could go to a bar or club or mall or meetup group or, I don't know, church, whatever is your thing. You could find a place, book club. I don't know what it is. Whatever motivates you. You can go there if you want to. You do got time. That's a thing they make up. Utterly not true. Every time you hear that, we're so busy. Bullshit. You're doing TikToks all day. Stop.
And I think about a lot how capitalism robs us of our time.
Capitalism robs us of our time. This is the storyline these idiots say. I don't mean idiots. No, idiots. Idiots. Yeah, I'm saying.
And how even in our leisure time, we're constantly turning to social media or streaming services.
Whoa. How is that capitalism? We are turning to technology. We're turning to streaming services and social media. You just told me we don't have time. Now, so another time we turn to these. What, are you forced to? Garbage. You want to be important and you don't want to take responsibility for what you're doing. So you're going to go on TikTok, as you're doing now, and go on social media, which you don't pay for TikTok. It's free. You don't pay for it. And somehow it's capitalism's fault.
Guys, I've been thinking, and for
Tell me
real,
what you're
we
thinking.
need to be going out more. Like, what are we
You're not wrong.
doing? We need to be going out.
The rate of living
I like what she said. Let's do what she said. She's right. Let's do that.
alone, that's risen consistently for the last 60 years.
As Americans, we've removed everything we actually need in daily life, like exercise, talking to friends, connecting with people.
We removed that? Oh, okay. I guess we did, but let's assume that's true. I don't know how we did, but okay, we removed that. If we remove that, you could just put it back in, right? You could. Now, here's the weird part. I'm as busy as anybody else is, right? We're all busy. Got stuff we got to do. Of course we do. We got to pay bills, right? Whatever our bill paying methodology is, we got to go do that. I get it. Somehow I managed to meet people. Somehow. I didn't have a show the other night, last night. Why? I was out meeting people. Yes, I was at an event last night. I didn't have a show last night, did I? No, I was out meeting people. Now, some of those people I already knew. I'd met them online. Some I'd met in person. Some I'd met in person, some online. I met some new people also I never met before. Yeah, I went out to a club, bar, maybe restaurant in Manhattan last night and met some people. That's what I did. Many of you who are watching right now, I've met. I'm looking right now. I've met Gene, Sam, Shelly, Miss. I've met all of you. I have found time to go meet you physically. Many of you have. Mike, Peace. I'm looking. I've met all of you, right? Probably more, but I'm just saying I've met all of you physically. Somehow I've managed to meet all of you, so you can do it. They're choosing not to. This victimhood shit has got to stop. You can do it. The woman who just talking, a young blonde, was going, "Hey, we should get out." Yeah, you could just go. You could.
Spending time with our kids. We've taken all of the
Okay. I have 2 kids. I've spent lots of time with them. One's in the other room. So somehow I figured that one out too. Not magic. Not magic. Shelly's like, I've met Larry 4 times. Yes. The last time I got a selfie with him in the wit. Yes. He looks good in the photo. Oh, thank you, Shelly. Yes. Many of you have met me. I've met Sam multiple times, right? I've met Mike probably too many times. Anyway, but I've met all of you guys. Of course, you can do it if you want to. You can do it. Yes. Liberty Lady, yes. Live Florida to meet 3 libertarians for a rally. True. I did. You can find time. It's possible.
naturally occurring things out of life.
Parents have a hard time getting their kids to socialize because nowadays, the way that capitalism is.
Okay, not because capitalism. Stop. Now she's blaming her shitty parenting on capitalism. Don't. That's no. You can still go. The reason why there's a problem with kids meeting each other is because helicopter parents think their kids are going to die if they're anywhere like more than 3 feet away from them. That's the reason. Anyone who's my age or older knows they should just say, kid, go out. See you later. That's how that works. Go out. I'll see you later. That's how it used to work. Now you can't go unless the parent tells you where to go. So because of that, the third spaces have gone away. The third spaces have gone away because parents won't let their kids go to them while the parents hovering over them. That's not capitalism. That's shitty parenting. They're two separate things. Two separate things. When I was a kid, my dad would give me a couple bucks every week and say, go, goodbye. And I would go buy candy or whatever I was going to buy as a kid, or comic books or baseball cards or whatever I thought was cool when I was a kid. And I would spend my money and hang with my friends in the park because we did that. And I lived in a crappy neighborhood in the South Bronx. I didn't live in some great neighborhood. I didn't grow up in some awesome, cool suburban area. I grew up in the South Bronx by Yankee Stadium. That's where I grew up. Absolutely could do it. 100%. This is her crappy parenting, blaming somebody, taking no responsibility. Is everybody here a woman?
We've made it so that the only way to have socialization of your children is to pay for something.
How much capitalism and consumerism overall benefits from us being lonely, individualistic.
So she decided, generally speaking, when you see me make a claim, right? I think X is true or Y is true or she's lying or he's lying. Generally speaking, if I show data, I try to show data from either multiple sources or official sources or government sources or something like that. Her validation is TikTok chicks. I'm not joking. That's her validation. I'm right. Why? Because TikTok chicks. I'm right because TikTok chicks. I love that. I love that. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to say I'm right. I'm going to throw some TikTok chicks on and go, see, facts. She's just done that.
And not part of communities. The solution to all of our problems has been sold to us as just go.
Okay, you watch this garbage. For those who don't know, this is called a haul. I didn't know this. My daughter taught me this. I didn't know. On TikTok, people do hauls. A haul means you go and buy a bunch of stuff and then you unpack it and show people all the cool things you bought. And that's called a haul. Again, I didn't know that. My daughter taught me that. I then watched and I wanted to vomit. But that's true. She's not wrong. This is true. But here's the problem. She watches it. You can just not watch it. I don't. I didn't know what it was until someone told me. And then I watched it so I could go, oh my God, this is terrible. That's what it is. Literally hauls. People go and buy a bunch of stuff and then they unpack it on TikTok and millions of people watch. She's one of them. And now she's complaining about capitalism. You could just not watch. If you didn't watch that, TikTok wouldn't pay her. And if TikTok wouldn't pay her, then she wouldn't do it anymore. Capitalism could actually work, couldn't it? It could work. So you're weak and silly and you watch this garbage and now you blame capitalism. You could, if you wanted to, look in the mirror. But that hurts. I'm going to blame capitalism. Mike Voss is in the house. None of these complaints have to do with capitalism. True. These kids have zero understanding of the meaning of words. True. This is entitled feeling and unbridled greed. True. Victimhood and mass. Yes to all of that, Mike. 100% true it is. And the worst part is, if you were to tell her that, she'd be mad at you. You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy, Mike. How can you say that? Society makes me. Capitalism forces me. I have no choice. That's what she would tell you. You're a bad guy, Mike, because you would actually call her out. Yeah, that's terrible. But Shelley picks it up right. She says, how many holes get returned? I'm thinking most. Yes. In fact, some people now, some stores and some retailers are actually limiting how much you can buy because of that. This whole thing was so common, they started limiting. So no, you can't buy that much because if you buy too much, you're just going to turn it all back after you do your haul. It's true. Yes, 100%. So Sam says you're spot on, boss. I think you got a fan there. There we go. Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
buy it.
So much of our struggles as parents, feeling like we're
Yeah.
not parents, feeling like we're irritable, like we're impatient, like,
Yep.
you know, we're touched out, we're overstimulated. Like
Yep.
so much of that, we are made to feel as though that is a failing on our part.
We are made to feel, listen to the language, we are made to feel like it's our fault. Okay. I'm not trying to be mean. Not. I am also a parent. I have 2 kids. They grew up in this too. One is still growing up in this. Still happening as we speak. Still happening. If my kids are bad and crappy because I raised them bad and crappy, it's because I'm a bad and crappy parent, not because society. That's not how that works. Not because capitalism. In reality, there are crappy kids and crappy parents, regardless of what kind of system you have. Communists have crappy parents too, and crappy kids too. So do socialists. So do ultra capitalists. It doesn't matter. You can have crappy parents and crappy kids in every environment. It doesn't matter. There were probably crappy kids and crappy parents in the Stone Age. I'm sure there was. That's why the Bible has rules on parenting, because there were crappy parents then. Crappy parenting is everywhere and has been throughout all time. The difference is, will you take responsibility for your crappy parenting? She won't. She will just go, I'm made to feel. Society's failing you. I'm made to, you're not made to feel anything. You can stop if you want to. It is possible. It is, you can if you want to. It's up to you. Sam's saying it. Who is making them feel, and how do you make another person feel? Thank you. She feels like she's a crappy parent. And she probably is. Otherwise, she wouldn't be doing a TikTok, right? If you're so busy and so worried, why are you doing TikToks? Why are you doing TikToks? Lunatic is in the house. Accountability? No. Just stop that. Accountability. You don't go on TikTok for accountability. You go on TikTok for validation. You get your words right. TikTok for validation, not for accountability. If she's being accountable, then she would go back and stop being on TikTok and spend time with her kids, who she's complaining about. She would do that instead. Peace, thank you for the $4, my friend. $4.99. When I was a kid in Germany, my mother would send me to get fresh baked bread at the local store alone at 7 years old. Yes. Now, I know you grew up in Germany. I grew up in the Bronx. We're both the same age. And my mom sent me out to get cigarettes. Yes, my mom smoked. And I was like 7 or 8. She sent me to the store to go get cigarettes. And I could buy cigarettes for my mom when I was 7 or 8 years old. Yes. Down to the store by myself. Go get cigarettes and some milk or whatever. She'd give me some money and tell me to go. And I had to bring back the change. If I didn't, there was hell to pay. Because sometimes I thought I was slick. And I'd go there, do that, and then buy some candy and then come back and be like, oh, no, he must have given me the wrong change. My breath smells like, cherry licorice or whatever the hell I was eating. So, yeah, that's how dumb I was. Anyway, but yes, you are correct. Absolutely. That's what used to happen. Now, you can't go 5 because someone's going to kill you. No one's going to kill you. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. We're safer than we ever were. It's not a thing. I completely agree, Peace. Thank you for that. By the way, guys, if you want yours to go right to the front, your comment, you can always super chat me if you want to. You just saw Peace did it. You can super chat me on YouTube, or you can rant me if you happen to be watching me on Rumble. That'd be awesome if you want to. Please do one of those two if you like. But no matter what, please reshare this and repost this now. Plus, if you think this is interesting, and I know you do because you're watching, then click the button known as Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Please click that button. It does matter. Click it so that people can see it, so that Mr. Rhythm will share it. You know that guy, Al Gore Rhythm, that guy? He loves it when you click the like button, and he loves it when you share it into other things, like you put it into, say, I don't know, a Facebook group, something like that. You do that, people love it. Please do that if you can. If you really want to help out, you can always become a member. You can become a member on YouTube at $49 per month by clicking join, or you can become a member on Rumble if you want to by clicking subscribe during the live. So if you want to, please do that. It will be helpful. I do love that. Dave, thank you so much for $9.99. Says most social media is for validation. Correct. Absolutely. They don't remember something. I tell you this all the time, guys. This is very important. The vast majority of people, they don't want to be better because that takes time and energy and effort. They just want to feel better. Well, you can, to this woman's point, you could stop being on TikTok and then go work with your kids, figure out your issues, deal with those issues. That's option one, and be a better parent and be a better person. That's that, yeah. Or you can come on social media and feel better about it by doing the crazy word you hear all the time, which is normalize. What normalize means is I don't want to get better. I just want the world to tell me that I'm okay so I can feel better about my bad behavior. That's what normalize means. So when you hear that, and that's what she's trying to achieve. So yes, absolutely. So in any case, let me walk down a little bit more of this.
Part when really it's a failing on society's part.
Capitalism in its heyday brought us the highest standard of living the world had ever known. It's focused.
Yes. Did you hear what she just said? Capitalism brought us the highest standard of living the world has ever known. Accurate. Okay. Where's the but? There's got to be a but though, right? She can't just say that because that would blow her entire narrative. But true. Absolutely true.
On efficiency and scale allowed us to spread our wings and create the lives in which we desire. In doing so, capitalism removed our need to rely on others, as for the first time in history, we could...
Wait a minute. Okay, she just pulled that out of her ass. So now we don't have to rely on others because of capitalism? Since when was that true? No. We don't rely on others because of big government. Let me be very clear. We don't rely on others because of big government. Communism also destroys families. Don't get me wrong. Families can be destroyed no matter what. Communism is notorious for destroying families. Literally making children report their own mothers and fathers so they can go into gulags. Literally separating families and sending them to other parts of the nation. In China, they sent the fathers and brothers and sisters into the farms and others into the cities. In Russia, they put them to gulags and Siberia. So no, I mean, she just made that up. There's zero evidence of that being true. That's made up.
And for ourselves independently. But this breakdown of community in capitalism's quest to commodify everything has led to...
Okay. She just added two things. Breakdown and community, right? And desire to commoditize everything. This is true. Capitalism does try to commoditize it. That's accurate. 100% true. It doesn't necessarily mean it breaks down a family. Families get broken down all the time, right? And big government does that. One of the ways it did, believe it or not, she's going to say capitalism, but it wasn't. It was the war on poverty. The war on poverty made it okay for us to leave, for us to walk away, right? The war on poverty made us able to do that. The war on drugs pulled the fathers out of the homes. That's big government. Nothing to do with capitalism. In fact, capitalism, if it was capitalism, my dear, there wouldn't be a war on poverty because we'd all get more money through capitalism, through small business growth, which is how people grew when I was a kid in the ghetto. Yep, we called it ghetto when I was a kid. People grew because of individual work, right? Not just that. The war on drugs, well, capitalism in its purest form would allow everyone to buy and sell what they want. There'd be no war on drugs. It'd be like liquor stores, which actually make money. So yeah, and back in the day, used to be owned by local people. Not as much today, but they were always owned by local people. Liquor stores was owned by, you knew the guy who owned a liquor store, like you knew him. So, but locally also, your drug dealer, your dealer, you also know your dealer. That's true. You know your dealer, he's local also. So all of that too. So yes, absolutely. So, Michael, you are insane. Why are you dropping so much cash? Don't drop so much cash. Stop dropping so much cash. The thing that is, hold on. The thing is that the people who play the victim card oftentimes do so believing that they're gaining power and influence. When in reality, the system creates an environment for such behavior to thrive. The other thing is that those helicopter parents are the reason for why the government goes after parents for free ranging. Yes and yes. Two things I'm going to bring up here with this. You're right on 2 points. Number one, these people not only, I'm going to go, is it one thing worse, Michael? These people think that they're gaining power and influence, but the people watching them, they don't care about them. Why? Because they don't meet anyone. Michael, I've met you more than once too. I've met Mike more than once. I'm telling him to stop spending all his money because I met him and his mom. I've met him and his mom more than once. So yes, so stop spending so much damn money. So yes, so I've met you, right? These people aren't meeting any of these people. It's just people out there talking. And they think somehow they're friends. They think somehow they matter. These people don't care about them. You're right, Michael. They're never going to see them. They're never going to meet them again. They're going to shake their hand. They're going to meet their mom. Like I met your mom. They're not going to meet those people. They're trying to become validation by seeing clicks and things on the screen and never meeting anybody. That's even worse. So they think they're gaining power. They think they're gaining influence. And they're gaining nothing, not even gaining friends. And you're right. The helicopter parents, they validate government. They absolutely validate government. You are correct. Absolutely, you are correct. So thank you for that. Okay, $1.99. Thank you. Do that next time. Thank you, $1.99, Michael. Much better. Thank you. True power derives from an individual. Yes, but the individual's ability to influence their environment. That's real power, right? I influence my environment. The environment being, all right, I'm going to get my friends to agree with me. I'm going to get more friends. I'm going to have my mom do something for me. Have my girlfriend do something for me, right? I'm going to move with the people. I'm going to get something done within my community, right? People are going to listen to me or do something that I want. That's where your power comes from. And most of the time, that power, not always, but most of the time it comes from example. Not always. It can come from just cash. It can. But most of the time, Michael, that comes from your own personal example. People go, I like what Michael's doing. I'm going to do that. Or I like what Michael's doing. I'm going to copy him. I like what Michael's doing. I'm going to agree with him. That's how it usually happens. There's exceptions, obviously. That's where power actually comes from. So, brother, thank you so much. Do $1.99 instead. Better. Rick, thank you so much for having being a member. 3 more months, brother. I appreciate it every time. I'm hoping this is interesting for everybody, and that's why I'm picking these things. I think this is stuff that's really interesting. He goes on to say, check out the book, Abolish the Family, a manifesto for care and liberation by Sophie Lewis. Well, there we go. I have to check it out. Is it, can I do it on Audible? It is rare that I actually read books anymore. I know it sounds crazy, but it's rare. Most of the time I'm doing this. More often I'm doing this via Audible. It's true. Morgan has 2 hashtags, free range parenting. Yes. Live by example. Yes. And yes. Thank you for both of those. Absolutely agree. 100%. All right.
Family relations dissolving. And now in a world where we are arguably more connected than ever, we find ourselves lonelier than ever. This leaves us wondering if we can maintain this economic growth base.
Yes, but notice what she showed, connected and lonely, that was because of technology. Again, not because of capitalism, because of technology. Technology, what she doesn't mention at all here is government and technology. Those are 2 things that are critical. Those 2 things combined is what's making us lonely. Those 2 things combined is what's making it, not capitalism, right? Are you telling me that in communist China, they didn't break up families? Of course it did. Communist Russia? Of course it did. Socialist Cuba doesn't have social media? Of course it does, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. Wherever you go, there's those things, right? So people are lonely throughout the world. It's an epidemic. People aren't getting together. They aren't mating throughout the world. Now, whether that's capitalism or not, doesn't matter. That isn't the issue. And that's what I'm trying to get at. She's just blaming capitalism, but it's actually technology.
Society without losing touch of each other completely. So let's talk about it. How the nuclear family was created to monetize and isolate individuals. How
the nuclear family was created to monetize and isolate individuals. You could just say whatever you want, and literally 100,000 people will follow you. Can you please show me evidence of that? She's going to try, I'm sure. But so the nuclear family was created, her words, to monetize and isolate the individual. This goes back to everyone who speaks like her always says things like they and it was done, and like there's some evil capitalist cabal. I guess they're in maybe The Hague, maybe, I don't know where they are, wherever they are, in some spot, someplace. The evil capitalist cabal, where New York City, whatever they are, they move all the strings to isolate everybody, like it's a mat, and they think that's okay. That's fine. Yeah, I don't have to say anything. It's they, whoever they are.
In 2024, we found ourselves in a loneliness epidemic.
She says in 2024, we found ourselves in a loneliness epidemic. I said this in 2018. She was probably 9 in 2018. So maybe she doesn't know, right? Maybe she doesn't. I don't know. I shouldn't. Should I be ageist? Yeah, I'm going to be ageist. She was probably 7. Fine. I don't care. I'm being ageist. That's the ist I am today. See, Mike, I had to be an isterophobe. I'm an ist today. I'm an ageist. Yeah, she's probably like 3, right? And she's like, I found out we had a loneliness problem last week. Therefore, we just had it last week. You're about 10 years late. Just saying, you're about 10 years late. You are. You're about 10 years late. Just saying, right? But okay, I guess you found it yesterday, so it's yesterday. It's not. It's been for a whole lot longer, and it isn't because capitalism.
And what we can do moving forward to get ourselves back to a social society.
See, she's going to help us with the social society. Okay, help us out. Tell us some history. This is getting good, isn't it?
The first instance of community being affected by capitalism was in the death of the traditional family. When we think of
so the first instance of this happening was the death of the traditional family. Okay, I like that. That's the first interest. And the picture she shows is like 1960s, 70s. Is that when it happened?
The traditional family, we think of a 1950s home with
50s.
a working dad, a stay-at-home mom, and 2 children. But the thing is, this is not actually the traditional family. Before capitalism stepped in, the traditional family consisted.
Oh, it's before capitalism stepped in. She said, before capitalism stepped in, what was the traditional family?
Of a mother, a father, the children, but also the grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins.
Now, I see all of these people here in her nuclear family, which looks about 1940s, I'm going to guess, in that area, 1940s. America's been capitalism since the 1700s. That don't work, does it? Capitalism's been in America since the 1700s, hasn't it? I mean, literally, we were tarring and feathering tax collectors, and we were throwing tea in the harbor because too much tax because our capitalism. So we went to war over capitalism, right? I mean, we did. I'm not making that up. We did. We literally went to war over capitalism. We said, no, King, we doing our own thing and we want to make our own money. And we did. So we've been fighting for that for a long time. This is 1940. Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Anyone who was around in this environment where the economy was mostly based on agricultural production.
Okay, 1940s. Was that agricultural production? Was most people? I don't think 1940 that was true. Could be, but I feel like that's not right. She's not trying to be real.
And a larger family was preferred for survival. Whoever was willing and able to stick around on the family farm stayed as the land was their source of economic success.
True.
Both males and females, old and young, contributed in various ways.
Okay, this is like 1960. Like, what is she? Did she think this through at all? Again, I want to be really clear. 250,000 views. She has over 125,000 subscribers. And she just makes stuff up. I got to start just making, I should stop with the receipt, shouldn't I? I should just go, you know what? Capitalism does stuff. And then I'll have like 100,000 views. I should do, man. Mike, what do you think? When I start a new show, we'll call it Larry and Mike Just Say Stuff. We'll just like make stuff up. We'll just say, yeah. And the last time I checked, all the Belgians just eat chocolate every day. I will just make that up. I don't know if maybe it's true, but we'll just make it. We'll just say stuff. That's it. We'll just say stuff. Belgians eat chocolate every single day, no matter what. They do. Yes. And Mexican people don't like puppies. They just don't. I'll just say it. No evidence, no nothing. I'll just say it. And Mike will be like, yeah. And then he'll make some stuff up and we'll go back and forth. And then we'll show like pictures of like, I don't know, 1940s Cambodia. That will make no sense what we're saying. And we'll show videos. It was next channel.
Ways for the survival of the household, whether that was working in the fields, taking care of young children, or working on goods for sale. The family of the Middle Ages was an all-encompassing.
Okay, the Middle Ages. I'm not making this up. She just showed a picture of like the 1940s, and this picture is probably what, late 1800s? Middle Ages. Middle Ages is from like the 1400s to like the 1700s. Yes. So from the 1400s to the 1700s, no, I'm sorry, that's not even, that's the Renaissance. Sorry, no. That's the Middle Ages is from like the year 500 to the year 1400. That's the Middle Ages. I'm sorry. I got my, now I'm getting, at least I corrected myself. Okay. She's saying the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages is from the end of the Roman Empire until the end of the Byzantine Empire. So that's about 475 AD to about 1453. Is that right? Is my Byzantine and 57, 53? I think 53. Anyway, I think it's 53. 14 something. I think it's 1453, 57, one of the two. So from 475 AD, or sorry, CE, to be politically correct, till 1453 CE is Middle Ages. That's what it just says. And her picture is that of someone in 1900, late 1800s. Then she was talking about capitalism, 1940s pictures, and now the Middle Ages. And who does she use? A guy from FEE, the Foundation of Economic Education, libertarians. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Again, 250,000 views on just this video, over 100,000 people subscribed.
Social unit bound together by the need to survive economically. The biggest
Yes, bound together by the need to survive economically. In the Middle Ages, we didn't have capitalism, we had feudalism. Right? Am I making this up? So she's literally saying this social unit, this family was struggling. That's why they stayed together, because of feudalism. But then capitalism gave them some freedom to not struggle and die anymore. And she's like, yeah, it's terrible because it made people lonely.
change to this family dynamic was after the Industrial Revolution, which brought...
Okay, the Industrial Revolution, what's that, 1780, 90 in that area, 1800s, depending on where you are in Europe, in that area. Am I about right? 1800, give or take? So she went Middle Ages, skipped the Renaissance, went to the Industrial Revolution when she was just talking about the 1940s. 250,000 views.
On wage labor, something we're very familiar with today. As early factories opened, owners began to hire...
Oh, Jesus Christ. P says, I needed to laugh. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you for the $2. Yes, we have to. Yes, 100%. Yes. Joel says, some of Larry's ancestors were bound together and came to the U.S. Correct. Some of my ancestors didn't come because they wanted to. That's true. Some did not. Yes, absolutely. Michael says, oh, the Belgians eat waffles. Yes, Michael, you and I would do a show. The Belgians eat waffles. That's it. Every day. That's what they do. That's all they do. Nothing else. We'll just say it. No evidence. Nothing. Just whatever. There we go. Yes. Michael Voss says, before capitalism is feudal Middle Ages, where women were property, the poor were literally slaves. She has no idea what she's saying, or what it means. Yes. That's exactly right. Yes. She doesn't know what she's talking about at all, but she sounds smart and she's showing pictures. So I guess it makes sense.
Workers from outside their immediate family. For the first...
Oh, that was the first time? Oh, it wasn't indentured servants? It wasn't the guild system from the Middle Ages? It wasn't that? That never happened before? It wasn't literally during the Roman times they would hire people to come on and work on their farms, soldiers and stuff? It wasn't that? It wasn't in China when they would actually hire people. There wasn't that. It was just here in America. That's when it first happened. Zero evidence that just says it.
Time ever, work and home had been separated, and this came with...
First time ever.
Changes to the family. As wages men were earning from these jobs grew sufficient to support their families, there was a shift from agriculture to industry, and slowly women and children withdrew from the labor market. By the time we reached the 1900s, the male breadwinner family was the dominant family structure in the middle class, and is now what we call the nuclear family. With no more physical labor requirements from multiple bodies to survive, families started breaking off from their extended family and creating a path of their own. This also gave birth to the suburban home, and as we know during these...
Okay, the suburban home, that wasn't why we have a suburban home. That's not why. If you look in certain areas in the world, they don't have many suburban homes. The suburban home was created because of the interstates. Why did that happen? World War II. And some of you don't know this. The United States built the interstates, the interstate road system, not because they cared about America. That wasn't it. Not because they cared about the family. Not because of that. Eisenhower, I'm not joking, was in Germany after the war. And he was impressed on how the Germans could move their forces throughout the country through two things, a rail system and a road system. True story, look it up. You can just Google what I'm saying and you'll find actual answers. Hers, you're going to struggle. But you can just Google. General Dwight Eisenhower was in Germany. He was awed by their Autobahn system. He thought this would be amazing if we ever have to fight a war like in Germany. We can move our soldiers and troops around easily throughout America. That was his entire reason for building interstates. As you begin to build out all these road systems, what happens? Well, now people can get place to place. And now you can go drive in a city and live outside of a city. Not just that. After World War II, we had all these factories that were making tanks. Literally thousands of tanks and airplanes. Thousands of them. Every month, we were pumping out thousands of tanks and airplanes. What are we going to do? War's over. Cars. So we build out a massive interstate and we build out massive cars because of the end of World War II. So when that happens, what happens? So suburbs. That's the reality. That's what actually happened. It's not capitalism. It's this. Suburbia isn't every single country on the planet. It isn't. Why? If capitalism was true, every single country would have suburbia. They don't all have that.
Times fathers would go to work, leaving their family during their productive hours. Children would go to school, leaving their family during their productive hours.
See how, and that only happened because capitalism. See, kids never went to school until oh wait, yeah, they did. Moms never worked in a home until, oh yeah, wait, they did. Yeah, everything she's saying is garbage.
And women would usually stay home tending to the house all day, as it was now a single person operation to run a household. But as we know, this 1950s family structure didn't last forever, and women did start re-entering into the workforce for multiple reasons, like labor shortages during war times, but also with the decrease in house.
Okay, now hold on. She says labor decreases during wartime as women began to go back into it. But then she just said that the 1950s and 60s, this is the prime time of the single male person, but the wartime was the World War II, which is before the 50s and 60s. She's just saying stuff. Like she's literally just saying stuff. Right? She's just said they came back into the workforce because of shortages during wartime. And they just picked World War II, which was true. But just a minute before she goes, well, this is, the single family household. Well, yeah, but that was 50s and 60s. Nothing. Cheyenne, thank you. He says you have to cry about how terrible life in America is for views. And it works. I see it constantly though. Complaining, and people love it. People love the complaining. Like there's no tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. It's terrible.
Maintenance requirements as modern household appliances and fewer children freed up women's time. But once we got into the 70s...
Wait a minute. Okay, fewer children didn't happen until the 70s, really. Why? What happened in the 60s? The pill. That's really when it happened, right? So again, her timeline is utterly off. Mike says, seriously, where'd you find this idiot? Are people watching drunk? Where does she strip as she talks? Brain cells are dying exponentially as she speaks. I got to tell you why I even thought of this. Because there are so many youngsters that I see all the time who are killing it on YouTube and other places. And almost all of them are the same. They're literally what Cheyenne said. He's right. They're people just complaining about America. They just complain. Yet they're they're all capitalists talking about capitalism. It is insane, but people love it. They keep eating it up. And I don't see many people, most people do one of two things. They're either bad at going up against them, giving actual arguments, reality about it, or they just ignore them. So I thought, why don't I do this? Because I can do it and no one else is. And a lot of young people are watching this and they're believing it 100%. I hear all the time. They're believing it 100%. Like, yeah, it's bad because this woman who I like said stuff. So I guess it's true. They're not listening to anyone else. So maybe it's this. There we go. Tom says, thank you for being a member, Tom. The Bible is full of references to the market, investing and paying workers. But capitalism started in the 50s. Exactly. Usury is in the Bible, which is literally capitalism, right? Loaning money is literally capitalism. Usury is in the Bible. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Morgan says, them, I hate capitalism. Also them. Make sure to like and subscribe. Speaking of that, Morgan, I happen to love capitalism. So please don't forget to like and subscribe because I do like capitalism. I'm not against it at all. Please click that button known as Lima India Kilo Echo. Please do that. And if you haven't already gone to my YouTube page, please do that. Subscribe to that, please. Also follow me on, if you would, Facebook. Follow me on Rumble. And also follow me on everything else that I'm on because it does matter. Please do that. Yes. Joel is over on Rumble, by the way. And Joel says, every war on has made the whatever problem worse. Maybe they should start a war on decency, war on community. Oh, I like that. That's right. Yeah. War on drugs, give us more drugs. War on poverty, give us more poverty. Yes. Absolutely true. Yes. 100%. Absolutely accurate. So yeah, a bit crazy, but we will keep going. Did I grab the other one? I did grab that one. There we go. All right. Make sure I grabbed all the super chats, guys. Again, if you want to get your stuff right to the front, you can always super chat me.
Women started fighting back against the system as they declared the nuclear family to be a tomb for women.
The nuclear family is a tomb for women. She, this woman here, is currently in a nuclear family. I'm not joking. She's married in a nuclear family. Yes. A tomb, her words, that she quoted happily, for women. I can think about lots of women I know who have found themselves in a nuclear family and didn't feel it was a tomb at all. I mean, I guess it could be for some people, but really, I don't get that at all. So, yeah, not at all.
Who were traditionally working their homes as a larger unit were now spending their productive hours in an empty house, stripped of purpose and...
So, they were now spending their time in an empty house, stripped of purpose. Her words. I'm going to ask anybody here who has been a homemaker. When you were a homemaker, were you sitting around in an empty house stripped of purpose? Here's who I know people who are. People who are being supported by the government who choose to not work and not have a family. Now, if you have a family, period, you have a purpose, no matter what else you choose to do. And if you have a family with children, your house is not empty. Again, whatever else you might choose to do. If you don't have a family and you don't have children and you're being supported by the government, okay, you're lonely in a house. Makes sense. But even with that, couldn't you still find purpose? Couldn't you go off and, I don't know, start a church group? Couldn't you go off and get a part-time job? Couldn't you go off and start a nonprofit? Couldn't you go off and, I don't know, volunteer a nonprofit? Aren't there things you could do to create purpose? You could. But no, you know why you can't do that? Jericho, you can't do that. Do you know why? Because capitalism. Stop thinking, Jericho. Stop thinking. Because capitalism. That's the reason why you'll be in an empty house with no purpose. Because capitalism is bad. Jericho, by the way, I saw her, so I teased you. Yes, capitalism is the only free and fair way. It's the only system that doesn't require a central planner. It's not perfect, but it's much better when it's actually a free market. Correct. It is not perfect. I'm not sitting here in any way saying capitalism is perfect. You are correct. But it's the best we got. If you got some other plan I don't know about and something is awesome, I'm open to hearing some great system I've never heard of that's better than capitalism. Maybe it exists, right? Maybe. I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. Every single thing else that I've seen and heard of is worse than capitalism. So if you just go back and go, socialism, no, that sucks. Communism, no, I know that sucks. Democratic, no, that sucks too. If you have something I haven't heard of and we could try that, I'm open to talking about it. But everything we've tried before has been worse. That's all I'm going to say. It's been worse. I'm hoping maybe there's something better. Okay. I haven't seen it. Michael, thank you for the 49. Rain is expected in 1 hour here in Johnstown. That lady gave us rain. That's how bad she is. She gave you guys rain. It's true. She's terrible because you have no purpose. She just says
Relational
so.
connection that the traditional family had once filled her with. It only took women a couple decades to realize that they got the short end of the stick and it wasn't working for them anymore.
See, they got the short end of the stick, which is why she's in that exact situation. Okay, the short end of the stick. I would ask you right now, do you think, anybody here listening, anybody here watching, do you think that right now in America, as an example, in the West, period, but I'm going to say America, but in the West, period, women are happier now, today, in 2025, than they were in, say, 1975, 1985, 1965? Are they happier? It is obvious they are not. How do I know that? Over 40% of them are on some type of drug for their emotions. 40%, if not more. Depending on what age range, some is over 50%. I meet lots of women. Many of them are on some form of drug. Why? Because they can't regulate their emotions, or they're unhappy, or they've had problems all over the place. It's an epidemic. They're a whole lot less happy now as a demographic than they have been in years past. They're much more lonely. We've just said it's a loneliness epidemic. Everyone she showed was women. Everyone she showed was women complaining about how lonely they are, how broken they are. And she's like, yeah, that stuff before was terrible. Capitalism, it was terrible. So now it's way better, and we're way unhappier, and none of us are getting married, and none of us, and we're not having children, and we're learning not having children because that was bad. I don't know what she's saying. Kim says some women are happier, but I'd say most not. Correct. I mean, as a demographic, obviously there are some women who are going to be happy no matter what. They're doing things right. I get it. I'm saying as a demographic. Correct, Kim. I'm with you. As a demographic, women are not happier. That's true.
The women's rights movement continued to grow in the late 70s and 80s with the increased cost of living and recession requiring women to go back to work.
They were required to go back to work. I thought women wanted to go back to work. Which one is it? I'm not sure which one this is. I'm getting confused now.
Many women joined their husbands in the workforce and created this new form of the nuclear family, which consisted of 2 working parents and 2.5 children. But as capitalists, this just...
These damn capitalists. These see? That's the reason. Why are you unhappy? Because capitalists. Am I right? Capitalists, am I right? Am I right? Yes.
Meant more opportunity for economic growth. Now that we're dealing with dual income.
Now she doesn't, so that's a bad thing. So these capitalists who want economic growth, that's a terrible thing. Who would want that except everybody? Don't we all want economic growth?
Households, there's potential for more money to be spent. And this just added fuel to the fire of reasons for the cost of living to increase. Now looking back, this night.
Okay, literally she said, okay, I want to be clear. What she said, more money could be spent. And that's the reason, her words, that's the reason why the cost of living went up. Because there's more money to be spent. So because I can buy more stuff, because I can choose to buy more stuff, me as a consumer, I'm making decisions to buy stuff. And that's the capitalist's fault. I don't know how that is, but I want to buy more stuff. I want to work so I can buy more stuff. That's the capitalist's fault somehow, not mine. And I can now buy more stuff, which makes a better market, which makes the cost of living go up. What economic studying did she do? So it wasn't because of the Fed in 1913 printing money. It wasn't because of Nixon taking the dollar off of silver. It wasn't that. No. It's because capitalism and capitalists. It wasn't because people wanted more of a lifestyle to buy more stuff. No. She doesn't bring up government. Doesn't bring up technology. Doesn't bring up anything except because they, the capitalists, them. Which one of them is it? Which capitalist? It's them, the them. It's them, I guess. And she's totally okay with that. She's completely okay with that. It is Nuts. Yeah, I don't get why they're doing this. Yeah, Michael knows it. He goes, "Did you see what capitalism did to us, man?" Yes. See that? That's because capitalism. That's the reason. You got a problem in your life? Capitalism. It's the reason. My car broke down. Capitalism. That's it. Broke my leg. Capitalism. Peter, thank you for being a member, my friend. Peter says, truth. One of the best, most polished, enjoyable YouTube channels I follow. Arts We There. Oh, Arts We There Yet. Receives 1 reviews, but few likes. See that? There we go. We need to spend more time. They need to just do stuff like this, just make stuff up. That's what they need to be doing. That's their problem. So, yes. All right. Peter, I do appreciate you being a member, my friend. Peter goes on to say, Larry, I dated a medical transcriptionist. She knew what symptoms to give a doctor to get prescriptions for her needs. She was a legal addict. There are many of them. People very commonly self-medicate. It's what we do. As human beings, we do it. We do it with drugs or social media or video games or whatever is the thing that we do it with. It's very common. So we find ways of doing it. As I tell you all the time, the difference between happiness and pleasure. Pleasure is singular. It's an event or a thing or an issue, and it can be achieved through a substance. It can be achieved through an action, a behavior. That's pleasure. Happiness is an internal feeling that comes with others. Pleasure is very individual. I feel the pleasure. Happiness always includes others. The happier you are, the less you will seek pleasure. The less happy you are, the more you will seek pleasure. So happier people will seek pleasure less because they will feel happy. Pleasure is a temporary band-aid for a lack of happiness. Doesn't mean you won't seek pleasure. We all want to seek pleasure, but the happier we are, the less we will seek specific pleasure. That's why when people don't become addicts, they can find something else to fill that void or fill that gap. So I try to go out and meet people and be with people so I can be happier, so I will seek less pleasure. That's the goal. So you are correct. People who are unhappy seek pleasure a lot. You see it constantly. And you should look at that in yourself. Anyone listening, anyone watching, if you're constantly seeking pleasure, you're probably unhappy. Does that make sense? If you're constantly looking for that hit, that pleasure, that dopamine, that pleasure, you're probably unhappy. You just need to start looking for happiness so that you won't seek it as much. We all seek pleasure. It'll be less. So, yes, let's keep going.
1950s family structure never stood a chance to survive an economy that requires constant growth and the desire for more. Before moving on to capitalism's effect on modern,
I'm going to back that because she's going to talk about her
communities
sponsor.
are continually being broken down into smaller segments. On top of children needing to leave.
They're being broken down into smaller segments. Okay, you mean like how people keep putting us into boxes?
Leave the nest at 18. We're finding more and more that they're not just leaving the nest, but they're leaving the state or the country in hopes for a better or just different life.
That's not true at all. More youngsters today live at home than ever since we've been keeping track of it. More than ever. If you're under 30, more chance there's more than 50% of people under 30 live with somebody else, and not like a partner, like their mom. They live with their mom or their dad or their uncle, their grandma. They live with family. They don't live with like their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. 150%. So that's demonstrably not true.
Life. From a capitalism perspective, this is a great move because even buying your own house separate from your family and community, but in the same area, still provides some security. But uprooting your life and leaving means more financial pressure to 100% rely on yourself and the system.
And the system, thank you. Yeah, the system. As we leave, we ask for bigger government. Big government goes, great, love that. This is a government issue.
Isolation of the self or central unit has led to a new phenomenon, which is a hyper-individualist society. While individualism is the habit or principle of being independent or self-reliant, hyper-individualism is the state of mind where you believe that you're the center of the universe.
Also called, by the way, main character syndrome. So where does main character syndrome come from? Because capitalism, we've had capitalism in America for 300 years. But main character syndrome and this hyper-individualism is now. That's a recent phenomenon. What's changed recently? Was it capitalism? No, we've had that for 300 years. Was it capitalism from the 50s? No, we've had that. That's from the 50s. That's 80 years ago, give or take, 70, 80 years ago. So it wasn't that. What's changed the last 10, 20 years? Oh, social media, where people like her who don't know what they're talking about can do a video and feel like they're smart and awesome and say stuff with authority when they don't know anything. So all these individual people who are 30 years old can now get online and talk shit like they're awesome. That's where main character syndrome comes from. They can show their life about how cool they are and everything. That's what it comes from. Hyper-individualism comes from social media, not capitalism. We didn't have this until we had social media. Now everyone thinks they're main character. Of course they do. The reality of life is main characters change. They shift all the time. Yes, when I was running for governor, I was main character. I was running for governor. When I supported somebody else, I wasn't main character anymore. That person was. Yes, main character changes. When I'm the father in a relationship, I'm the main character because I'm the dad in this relationship. I'm the main character. But when my mom's talking to me, I'm not main character anymore. Main character changes. That's the reality of life. You're not always the main character. You are sometimes the main character, and sometimes you're a supporting character, and sometimes you're an NPC. That's just human nature. That's how the world works, right? But in this world now, I'm always the main character. Why? Because I've got social media and people who will click the like button and tell me that I am. So now I'm always the main character. Yes. Morgan says it. The term social media influencer says it all. True. True. Absolutely true. Yes. Andrew says it. Used to be true in the late 1990s or 2000s where people over 22 moved out to seek their dreams. Nowadays, us younger folks are sticking around at home while trying to make it. Agreed. My daughter is an adult. She lives with me. I'm not mad. I'm happy she's here. I'm not complaining. But yes, absolutely. So this is not capitalism. She's not wrong in what she's saying. Main character syndrome is a thing, but not because capitalism. People think they're main characters in India. People think they're main characters in Russia. People think they're main characters in Vietnam. People think they're main characters in Singapore. People think they're main characters in the world if they're on social media. Each of those countries has a different form of capitalism/socialism. It doesn't matter, right? Some of those countries are more socialist, some are more capitalist, some are pure, some aren't, but they all have TikTok. And that's what matters. This is stuff she just made up. Michael, thank you for $2, my friend. I love how she contradicts herself. In the same sentence, brother. In the same sentence. Yes.
Individualism is also intertwined with economics and consumption. It represents a shift from a cooperative and mutual support system to a money market-based goods and services.
Okay, this is just made up. This is just made up. This is just made up. Because you're a main character doesn't mean it goes to a money and market-based goods and services provider system. First off, that's the best system we've ever had when it comes to putting out goods and services. Literally. Demonstrably true. You can show me no data that changes that. None. That's absolutely true. I've done it. We've done videos and that's what people say it. That's the best way of moving goods and services around. It's the best way. The market is the most effective way. Isn't perfect. Again, nothing's perfect. It's the best one. Has nothing to do with hyper-individualism. Nothing. They're not related at all. She's made this up.
Services provider system. This means that people stop relying on others and start relying on economic stability.
Okay. If you are a hyper-individual, you're still relying on others to support you. You still are. Unless she's saying hyper-individualist, if she's saying that, is someone who like moves out into the woods and hunts and stuff. If that's true, there's no market good-based service there. You're doing all your own stuff. It makes literally no sense. This is whoever Bartleby Research is, or whoever wrote this, is either knowingly trying to push a narrative or is a moron or just expects people to be stupid by reading this. If you are hyper individual, right, where you don't rely on others, that means you don't rely on a market-based system. You like go out in the woods and build a log cabin and hunt and fish, and that's fine. You do you. I'm not mad at you for that. Go ahead. But that's not market-based goods. If you're looking at market, well, then you got to be part of the market, right? You got to get people to click your likes and everything so they can give you money so you can go buy stuff, right? I don't get it.
As a support system, people realize that they believe money is the primary source in their life, and as long as they are receiving that money, they will be complete.
Okay, hold on. Let's be clear. People have liked money forever. And I mean, since we made money. We were just talking about this. I forgot who mentioned this. Literally, money is in the Bible, which was written how many thousands of years ago? Money's in the Old Testament, which is written even further away. Money's in the Old Testament. I'm not even talking New Testament. The Old Testament, they're about money. People talk about money forever. There wasn't capitalism back then. I mean, I guess there was some, but it wasn't like as a thing. It was basically serfdom, right? But still, they've always thought money was a primary source. Always. And that's why greed is a sin. Greed's been a sin since there's been sins. Gluttony's been a sin since there's been sins. But money's always been important. And people have always thought, if I get enough money, then I'll be happy. This is why greed has been a sin for 5,000 years. And he's like, people just now believe this. No. They believe this literally for millennia. This is just made up.
That capitalism thrives off people fending for themselves. Hyper individualism.
Okay, no, it doesn't. How is... All right. The problem is she wants to make capitalism selfish. She just wants it to be selfish, right? People are selfish or people aren't selfish. It doesn't matter what system they live in. Under the communist Russian system, there were selfish people. Under communist China, there were selfish people. People are selfish or they're not. The system doesn't make you selfish. What a market system benefits on is consumerism. Now, you might say, well, for myself, no. What does the market love more than anything? A mom. I'm not joking. A mom. Why do you think so many of them market to moms? Why? Who are moms buying for? Their selfish selves? No, for their families. Literally, for their families. If the mom has more kids, then the mom buys more stuff because she's got more kids. Ask any marketer that. Any marketer that. Yes. That's the whole point. So what she's saying is demonstrably false. Clearly false. A simple Google search would show you she's wrong. This woman has main character syndrome. And she's looking at someone else going, you guys have main character syndrome. As I say often, pot, meet kettle.
Is a natural progression. If you stop relying on community and instead on the economy for your stability.
Okay. The community is the economy. They're the same thing. The difference is, how do you get around that economy? Does the government give you checks or do you barter within your community? If you barter within your community, that's still the economy, isn't it? That blew her mind. She would never get that anyway. But yes, that's true. Any community would create its own money anyway, right? Any community would create its own money anyway. If there was no money and we started a community, we would create our own money and whatever that was, whether that would be notes we write to each other or gold or whatever. We would create something because that's what people do. Does it make sense to constantly say, well, how many chickens can I give you for those cows? Doesn't make any sense. So we would come up with some form of money, whatever it is anyway, right? That's what would happen. That's what she's not getting. Oh, doesn't want to get. I'm sorry. Doesn't want to get. There we go. The problem is you stop relying on your community when what? When you rely on government. When you rely on government. Not capitalism, government. And what forms of economics create larger governments? Oh, right, communism and socialism. And in every single communist country that's ever existed, what have they gone out of their way to do? Destroy the family. Marx talks about it. Marx talks about destroying the family. I'm not making that up. He said it, not me. He talks about destroying the family. So did Mao. So did Stalin. So did Lenin. They all talked about destroying the family. Destroying the family, destroying the church, which creates community. So every communist / socialist country on the planet openly talks about destroying the family. Every capitalist country on the world talks about keeping the family. Capitalist countries right now are trying to pay people to have more babies. I'm not joking. That's a real thing. They're trying to pay people to have more babies, these evil capitalist countries.
Then everyone around you becomes competition instead of your teammates.
Everyone around you becomes competition instead of your teammates. Okay. I would ask you, in what more capitalist countries do we have snitches? Do we have people calling on the phone to the government to put them in jail? Generally speaking, none. Now, the more communist and social you get, the more that happens. Secret police. Here in New York, during the lockdowns, they had a snitch line. Yes. So what she's saying, again, demonstrably false. The opposite is true. All right. Oh, and she's going to give us something. Okay. Tell me, she says something and now she has to prove it correctly with random TikTok chick. I need this plan. This is my plan. Random TikTok chick just to make things correct.
Instead of your teammates.
The real trap of capitalism is that you're working so hard that you want to live alone. The thought of
you're working so hard that you want to live alone. Wow, is that stupid? That's insanely dumb. So I'm working so hard, I don't want help at home. No. You have main character syndrome, and no one else can be around if they won't accept you as a main character, which means nobody wants to live with you because you're insufferable. That's the reality. You're insufferable. You're laying on your bed after working, going on TikTok saying, I'm so super cool. There's nobody who wants to live with you. You're insufferable. You live up your own ass. That's why.
living with your family, the thought of living with a bunch of other people is so exhausting to even entertain that.
What a selfish person. The thought of living with your own family. Oh, how could I do such a thing? I am far too important putting on my makeup and stuff. Yes, of course.
You need your peace, you need your quiet, you need your isolation so that you can have.
You need peace, quiet, and isolation. Meanwhile, literally, this is about loneliness. Why do you require peace and isolation? Why? Yeah, Shelly says, thank you for being a member, Shelly. I want to live alone, she says, in her sexiest clothes in her bed. Yes, no thirst trap here. There's no thirst trap here. Not at all. Exactly. 100%. Yes. Yeah. Morgan says, it's happening within the USA. Isn't there a bill proposed to give women money to have children? Yes. Yes. But I thought capitalists don't want you to have kids or have families and stuff. Yes. Andrew says, she wants to live in peace, quiet, and isolation. I won't shame one's preferences. She doesn't, Andrew. It's a story. I agree with you. And we know this. There's data. They've been doing data on this for years. Generally speaking, about 90% of women do not want to be alone. About 10% do. Some of those 10% want to because they've had trauma or traumatic incidents that says, I don't want to be around somebody for issues that happen in their life. And some of those are just their preferences, who they are. But those 10% of women, good. I agree with you. You want to be on your own? Please be on your own. Good for you. She doesn't. This is her talking trash and making excuses. If you actually wanted to be alone, she wouldn't be on TikTok talking about this stuff. She'd just be alone because she's happy. She's okay with it. Lots of women, men too, but we're talking about women in this case. Lots of people would rather be alone. Fine. But it's a minority. Most people do not want to be alone. Some do. If you fall into that smaller percentage, more men by percentage want to be alone than women by percentage. So you'll find about 10% of women want to be alone. Okay. Good on you. But there's a lot of women who are alone who actually don't want to be alone. And that's sad, right? Andrew, that part is what bothers me on a personal level. If you want to be with somebody, you should be able to be with somebody. And a lot of these women do want to be with somebody. That's the issue.
Have your morning routine, your night routine. You don't want to cook with someone else talking to you in the kitchen. You don't
want to cook with someone else. What a lie. What cope? What a lie. Here's the reality for this young woman. She can't find a man that she wants. That's true. It's so obvious. I will bet you $1,000 that's true. She can't find a man that she wants. A man that she finds valuable does not want to deal with her because she's insufferable. So that's the reality. If she could find the man that she wants to stand around and dance in the kitchen with her as she cooks, she'd be happy as can be, and she'd be cooking with that man that she loves. Of course she would. What a lie. Utter garbage. She's just saying that to cope. And so, it's because capitalism. No, you're insufferable. And you're blaming somebody else. You're blaming capitalism. Stop it.
any energy left over. So to afford this lifestyle, you work more. And
to afford this lifestyle, thank you, they always self-report. They always self-report. You don't have to have that lifestyle. Not required. You're choosing to have that lifestyle. And again, to Andrew's point, no shame on that. Please have whatever lifestyle you want to have. If you prefer that lifestyle, good on you. But don't blame the world. You want that lifestyle, have it. But how are you going to have that lifestyle and then say, well, now I got to work 4 times, I can't find a man? Well, pick one.
more and more. And the more you work, the more isolation you crave. And therefore, the more expensive.
Okay. Is there anyone here listening, anyone watching, who said to yourself, I work so much, now I crave isolation? That's not a thing. That's not a thing. I work so much, now I crave isolation. That's not a thing.
Your requirements become. Whereas if you worked half the hours, you might have double the energy and be able to live with double the people and pay half the rent. You might find you know.
Did that make any sense? If you didn't work as much, then you might be able to tolerate living with more people and paying half the rent. Well, then get a roommate. You've just solved your problem. Right? Just get a roommate. You solved your problem. She literally contradicted herself within her sentence. Just do it. Like, no sense at all. None. And the best part about this, Mike, is this is TikTok. I don't go on TikTok much. Clearly, you see why. But to look at that, I thought to myself, okay, this has got to be like some special weird chick, and there aren't many like this. She's the exception to the rule, right? This is an exception. No. This is the norm. I wish it wasn't. I wish this was like, oh, no. It's a loud minority. No, it isn't. This is TikTok. Now, I don't know if this is all women. I don't know. This is TikTok women, though. This is absolutely TikTok women, right? Now, does that represent women? Maybe. I don't know the demographics of TikTok. I know it's more women on it. I don't know the demographics of it, but this is TikTok women for sure. TikTok women. That's why I'm doing this, Mike. She's not alone. That's why this woman can find tons of people to validate this.
You no longer need such a rigorous morning and night routine. You no longer need so much peace, so much quiet, so much isolation. And you don't even need as much money.
Hyper individualism.
Well, then get a roommate then.
Is also great for the economy because it creates the perfect consumer. We saw this first with the creation of the nuclear family. When living as single family units, everyone needs one of everything. Every family needs their own home, their own.
Okay, which is it? Is it isolating an individual that becomes perfect, which he said 10 minutes ago, or is it the family unit that's perfect? Now, I said it was the family with lots of kids. She told me I was wrong. Now she's telling me that I'm right. I think, okay, here's what we can just accept. Capitalism bad.
Car, their own TV, their own toaster, many things that are used once a week, once a month, maybe even once a year, still need to be bought by every household despite the lack of use for the odd occasion that you.
I guess. Let me go over to Instagram if I could. Prolong says we ought to give the parents the right to free range if they choose to. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. He goes on to say, I can't tell if Prolong is a male or female. I'm going to say they. They're also going to say, the thing is the people that play the victim card think they're going to gain power from it. Real power lies in the individual. Oh, I know. Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's correct. The other thing is government won't let parents let the kids explore the wilderness because of the helicopter parents. Okay, this is Michael Long. Okay, there we go. Got it. Same. Okay, got you. Yeah, got you. No worries. We're good. You on both. Thank you for being on both. Thank you for being on both. Perfect. Okay.
Use it. For example, when living in the traditional family, you could get away with owning, say, one hammer for all the 20 people in your family, instead of 5 hammers for every nuclear family of 4. And those extra 4 hammer purchases is what drives economic growth. As you can see, the more we separate ourselves from others, the more we need to buy to support ourselves.
Okay, and why is that a bad thing? She's not wrong, but that's a bad thing.
Hyper-individualism puts a lot of value on money as the primary source of support in life. As long as you have money, then you don't need community. And so it's sort of an endless cycle of buying your way out of community and then not having community, so you need to buy more.
How do you buy your way out? Okay, here's what, if there are 4 families in a given community, awesome. If there are 20 families, even better. If there are 50 families, even better. Why? Because now one of those families will run the hardware store, which will sell you the hammers you need. So now that family can make money and feel good and buy stuff. And that family will also need more bread. So now you gotta have a baker, and so on and so on and so on. How is it a bad thing? You actually build community by doing that, right? I mean, isn't that how communities were built? And they used to be built around a church. That was a common thing back in the day, right? Back in the day when America was growing and also Europe was growing, you'd come in and you'd build a church, some form of temple or church. That would be the beginnings. And then all the housing and all the support structure would go around that. And you would start growing that out, right, from that center of town. That's where the church bells were an important thing. They would tell you what time it was before we had clocks. They would tell you what was going on, when you should come to this, when you should go to that, was via church bells. That was a big deal. So, yeah, I don't understand how that works. She's just completely wrong. Michael Long, thank you for Michael Long goes on and says, Lemon 8 got created by TikTok as well. Oh, is that right? There we go. There we go.
Or of your independence, which means you're losing out on more community. And as time went on,
Okay, community is destroyed by government. Let me say it again for those of you in the back who didn't hear it. Community is destroyed by government, not by capitalism, by government. And I want to be very clear. Families, if you know anybody who lived in the Soviet Union, or who lived in communist China, or who lived in socialist Cuba, who lives now, who's escaped North Korea, any of those places, they will tell you what destroyed their family wasn't capitalism. It was the government. If you look at what broke up so many families here in America, it wasn't capitalism. It was the government. The black family, and I will say it from personal experience, and some of you may know this, was destroyed by the war on drugs and the war on poverty. That was government, not capitalism. Capitalism is what makes the black family in America, which made it stronger. How do we know? Black Wall Street. How did Black Wall Street, and there were many of them, get destroyed? Well, it was because racist white people. No, it was because government. I'm not joking. I did an entire show on this. This was the government who came in, disarmed the black soldiers after World War I, because they all had weapons for World War I. They fought in World War I, and they were going to defend themselves. The government came in, disarmed them, arrested the soldiers, took them out, and then they went and bombed it. That actually happened. But capitalism, I guess, maybe.
also know that technological advances have separated ourselves from others even more. For instance,
she brings up technology. Okay, at least she does touch it. It's the number one reason, but that's fine. We could touch that too. I'm glad you touched it, at least something. Okay, keep going.
With the rise of online shopping versus trips to the mall. Shopping in outlet malls, which once represented a gathering place for both young teenagers and elderly people alike, are
literally a symbol of capitalism. Literally a symbol of capitalism. She says was a gathering place for both young teenagers and elderly people alike, are closing, left vacant, and struggling to survive. So the breakdown of capitalism is a bad thing now. Now she's saying it's great. Wow.
Closing, left vacant, or struggling to survive. Even window shopping can be done without spending money, making malls a no-cost public space conducive to conversation and simple.
It's not a public space, though. It's a private space that's being used as a public space. Why? Because capitalism. Government doesn't build malls. right? Government doesn't build walls. Capitalism builds walls. Without capitalism, there's no malls.
Hangout, but the rise of e-commerce offers benefits that most malls cannot match.
And what spurred e-commerce so much? What spurred it? I'm trying to remember what that was. Back in 2020, something weird happened. I don't remember what happened in 2020 that spurred commerce. Oh, I remember. It was the government locking everybody down. It was the government locking everybody down and basically saying, hey, everybody, just go online. Stay in your house and go online. Go online. Because you know what? Government does this every single time.
Like the ability to browse infinite options and have items delivered for low
True.
cost or free. And the same effect happens with a lot of other aspects of life. With all the money we're spending on streaming services, there's less incentive to call up a friend and go to the movie theater. There was, of course, the death of the arcade.
Of course, all those things are true. I agree. How's that capitalism? That's technology. You don't have to buy those things you don't want to. Look, I like computers, clearly. I'm sorry I'm black, and my governor's already said black kids from the Bronx don't know what a computer is. So I like the idea of computers. I don't know what they are. I have to ask my white friends to do it for me. But anyway, my point being, but I buy them because I want them. I don't have to have a computer. I don't have to have Netflix. I do have Netflix. I don't have to. This is choices that people are making, but we're forced. We're forced.
As the video game industry took over our homes. On top of that,
the video game industry took over our homes. Do you hear the victimhood in everything she says? And all the people, and I'm forced, we have no choice, and we have to. No. You don't have to play video games. People don't know. I'm not an online gamer. I don't game online. Not because I don't like it or what. It's never been my thing. I'm not an online gamer. I don't have to do it. I didn't take over my house. Not required.
Uber and other delivery services mean that we don't even need to go to the store for our.
Okay. This morning, because I live in a city, I can walk to any place I want to in my city. It's one reason why I like living in the city. This morning, my daughter and I walked to the grocery store, bought some eggs and some other items, walked back, and I cooked breakfast. I don't have to go to Uber Eats or whatever. I don't even have an Uber Eats account. I'm not joking. Not required. I don't have to do it. Most people live in urban areas, right? Most Americans now live in urban areas. If you live in a city like I do, you can just walk to a place if you want to. I do. On the rare times that we want some fast food, which is very rare, generally speaking, I cook twice a day. It's true. I find time to cook. I make sure to the best of my ability, whenever I can, that I have at least one meal a day with my family. I try to have two. I try to have 2 meals when I sit down with my family twice a day. At least once. At least once. I try twice a day. Is that easy? Not always. To set my schedule to do so. Of course. You can do it if you want to. Or you can Uber Eats everything if you want to. We've been told we have to. Why? Okay. If capitalism is so bad, stop. You don't have to order Uber Eats. It's what, 40, 50 bucks if you order Uber Eats? Maybe more, 100 bucks, whatever it is to order Uber Eats. You just go to a grocery store. It's cheaper. Takes more time. True. But you make time if you want to. Again, I have to pay bills just like you do, just like these people do. Everybody's got to pay bills. But you have to decide in your life, do you want to spend time with your family and friends or not? You can say no. You can say no. I do. You can too also. It's no, capitalism is not forcing me to do anything. It's not a thing.
Groceries or other goods. And I'm not saying that this is all necessarily bad. I have an Amazon Prime membership like everybody else.
You're a big hypocrite, clearly. She literally is married in a nuclear family, complaining about nuclear family. She is literally on YouTube making money, complaining about capitalism. She is literally complaining about tech when she owns tech. She's literally complaining about these systems when she owns them herself. I own them too. I don't own all of them because I don't think all of them are valuable to me. But I don't complain about them. If you want to use them, go ahead. Just stop complaining and stop blaming the world. You're not forced to have any of these things. You're not. Lunatic is saying it. Correct. Stop participating in a system of control and manipulation. You can stop. You can. Shelley says, Mike, you nailed it with the progressives demanding how everyone else should live, despite the fact they don't live like that. Bingo. Bingo. Bingo.
But these advances did take away a lot of our natural opportunity for social interaction.
They didn't take it away. That's the problem. This is the victimhood. They give you the choice to not do it. So for the 10% of women who don't want to be meeting people, who don't like people, don't be around people, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Who don't want to have relationships, they can be alone. Let them. To what Andrew's point, maybe you don't like people and you want to live by yourself. Go ahead. I don't mind. But a lot of people who have an option, they have an option now. So you can still go and do stuff. Again, I'm doing it. You can too.
From a society that lived off of micro interactions with strangers to one that can fully opt out of social interactions if we desire.
Yes. Squeezing out every last penny. All right. God, this is punishment. All right, we'll be done soon, I'm sure.
Years, the flaws of this system have been brought to light as the standard of living has started to succumb to capitalist greed. A lot of us are.
It's the capitalist greed. That's what it is. It is not government printing tons of money, bombing people overseas, making horrible rules and laws, tariffs, Mr. Trump. None of that stuff. It's not that. It's capitalist greed. It's not the government. It isn't that at all. Not technology. Not that. Greed. And here's the funny part. We've had capitalism in this country for about 300 years. About 300 years, give or take. Finally now, succumbing to capitalist greed. 600 years. Look at that. And greed, by the way, wasn't a thing before. Capitalists weren't greedy before, right? People who wanted money and stuff, they weren't greedy. Even though back in the Old Testament, they talked about greed being one of the sins back in that, but greed today. That's the problem is greed. Before this, capitalists weren't greedy. I get it. You were probably born, after 9/11. I get it. But it doesn't mean that everything happened just you. You have major main character syndrome. Major. Stuff was happening before you were born. It was. Before I was born, believe it or not. Before I was born, too. Yes. Michael, thank you for the $2. I make the best cheeseburgers and mac salad. You like cheese, don't you? Okay. I like it.
Feeling the financial squeeze right now of this economy. Okay. And for some of us, that almost feels like the nail in the coffin for our social lives. As financial pressure grows, people don't have as much time to see each other, and maintaining friendships gets increasingly more difficult.
None of that's true. None of that's true. That's not true. Poor people can see friends just like rich people can. Both can, up to them. Now, here's the problem. Are you getting divorced at a massively high rate so that now you don't have a partner in your household take care of your kids and all this stuff? Yes. That's not capitalism. That's not capitalism. That's unhappy people. That's what that is. That's unhappy people. A lot of that's technology. That's unhappy people. If they were back in that, if more of us as Americans were back in that same mom, dad, couple kids, now you got two people helping out. Oh, life's a whole lot easier. No, that's the issue.
It's hard to see people when you spend all your time working multiple jobs, commuting to a city further away for a better paying job.
All women. You could just stop. Right? She's complaining about corporate greed, yet she's showing personal greed. Corporate greed. This is personal greed. You don't have to go get a great job. Up to you. You can live with a roommate. Up to you. You can live at home if you want to. Up to you. These are choices that you can make. Now, I'm not mad at you for saying I want to travel 2 hours and have a great job and make lots of money and buy nice things. Please enjoy. Go make a lot of money and buy nice things. That's great. But stop acting like you're forced to. You're not forced to. You're not forced to. If you want to have a great job and buy nice things, please do that. And I know because I've been there. Those of you who know me for a while, you can see my pictures of me from 2015, 2016, 2017. I was that guy who every suit I wore, I'm not joking, was a custom-made suit. Every shirt I wore was a custom-made shirt with my embroidered initials on every shirt. I used to have a $20,000 watch, a Rolex. It's true. All those things I had. I got rid of all that shit. Now, I don't even have those suits anymore. I sold that Rolex. Gone. Don't need it. You don't see these fancy watches on my hand, fancy rings. You don't see me buying fancy cars. None of that shit. Don't do any of that. Those are choices that I made. It did not, in the long run, they weren't the right answer for me. I figured it out. I didn't blame the world. I gotta buy this. I didn't have to do any of that shit. I chose to do that. My decisions, I chose to. Now, this woman who wants to go have a great job or whatever she does, that was her decision. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at myself. I did what I did. That's what I did. Okay. I don't do that anymore. I'd rather walk to the store and get some food with my daughter. I'd rather do that. I spend more time doing this. I couldn't have done this in 2015, 20. I didn't want to do that shit here. I was too busy making money. That's all I cared about. And that's fine. Again, my choice. This is the choice. That's what it is. And they're blaming. Capitalism didn't make me do that. Nobody made me do that. I did because I wanted to. I made the decision. And I've stopped. But yes, anyone who sees my old pictures, custom everything. Custom everything. I wasn't playing games. Not anymore. So, all right, let me grab these if I can. A lunatic, thank you for the $5, my friend. Design your own systems. Be truly free. Stop asking for permission to live. Develop skill sets. Stoic philosophy. Physical/mental fitness. Strife equals might. It can equal, I agree with you. I've been through some stuff, and clearly you have too. You and I had that chat. If you guys want to see our chat, you can go on Rumble if you want to and check out our chat that we did a couple weeks back, me and Lunatic. So, yeah, I agree with you. You know I agree with you, brother. All I'm saying is these women have a choice to make. That's it. So Weapon says, Larry, custom everything shop. It's true, man. I'm telling you. If you see the pictures of me in those years, I was out there doing the banking thing. All my money was being made. Yes. Custom everything. I was. I'm not joking. You see me, I was custom everything. Not anymore. Those days are over for me. I don't want that anymore. It's not where I want to be, but yes. You often ask, how do I know how wealthy people live? And how do I talk about that? Because they were my customers. They were my customers. And many customers I had made 7 figures a year. Many. Some 8. So yeah, that's how I know them, because they were my customers. I've walked away from a lot of that, but it's okay. Getting your ass kicked every once in a while does make you rethink. That's what I would say. So yes. Mike says, Larry, I just noticed, why is everyone complaining about capitalism for miserable lives, a white younger woman? If it's a universal problem, shouldn't anyone else agree? Not even one other type on TikTok. Correct. Here's an issue. And this will make some of you angry. But Michael, you've made a valid point. It's true. There's a big problem right now if you're a young white woman in America, generally speaking in the West. And that is, you're actually very privileged now than you've ever been. Women for many years clearly have been second-class citizens. I mean, for millennia, if not third-class citizens. If not, you mentioned it, someone's property. Women have not been in a good social structure system for millennia, since forever, right? But in this specific time now in the West, particularly America, but in the West, young white women are the most privileged demographically. Obviously, individuals are not, but demographically they are. Older women, I'll say older as over 30. That's my older, over 30. They're not as much, particularly if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s. If you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you weren't privileged at all. Like, you were a second-class citizen when you came up. You had to fight your way through stuff. But if you're 25 now and you're a young white woman, what's in your way? Nothing. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being forward. You have the highest chance of getting a job over men or any demographic. The highest chance of keeping your job. You make more money. You have the highest degree. You have more friends. You have more sex. You have more everything. Any way you would measure happiness, success, women, young white women, are beating every other demographic. And be very clear, it's demographically, not individually. Demographically. They don't know how to handle it because everyone else in their world didn't have this privilege. So if you're a woman who's 40, 50, 60, you're like, I didn't have all that privilege. If you're a black woman, Hispanic woman, you're like, I don't have that privilege. You're a young white woman, you do. And you got to figure out what's going on. Why am I not happy, even though I'm the most privileged demographic right now? What? Why am I not happy? TikTok. I think you're right. And people don't like when I say it, but it's just true. That's where it is right now. right? It's where it is. And they don't know how to act. That's why all these people are all young white women. They're supposed to be super happy. They're supposed to be super happy. They're the most privileged right now. Now, that could change. And in the past wasn't true. It's true today. And if you think I'm wrong or being an hysterophobe, you can do a simple Google search and you will see everything I just said is absolutely true. Any way you want to measure happiness, whether it's financially, through friendship, through sexual partners, through education, however you would measure it, young white women are top of the list. Through swipes on dating apps, you name it. It does not matter. That is the most privileged demographic right now in the West. Just true. Any case, I hope I answered your question in that regard. And they're trying to handle it. And here's another woman here. So solo parenting. Why are you solo parenting? Why are you solo parenting? I'm not judging. Be a solo parent if you want to. But now you're going to complain. You made decisions that made you a solo parent. I'm not judging that. Why are you complaining? That's what I'm saying.
For children alone and all the basic tasks required to run your household on your own. A big change we see in the way we...
Again, that's not capitalism. That's a woman made decisions, and that's why she is a single mom. Again, not judging her for that. You do you. But now it's capitalism's fault? No. She either decided to have a kid when she didn't need to. Option one, she decided that. She has to have sex when she didn't want to, or with a guy she didn't love. Whatever. She made a decision. No judgment. People get pregnant. But why are you blaming capitalism on that? That wasn't capitalism's fault. That's not capitalism's fault.
Spend our time in recent years is with the increase in side hustles. These tough economic times mean that for a lot of people, the 9 to 5 isn't cutting it anymore, and they need side hustles to make ends meet.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying.
You are. Yes, that's true. I'm glad you said it. True.
But this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college.
Okay.
And I'm in person.
Okay.
And I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now. So that's off the table. Like, so it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest. And then, like,
Jesus
I
Christ,
don't
that's
have
forever.
time to do anything. I want to shower.
She has no time to do anything. You just said she has no time to do anything. She leaves at 7:30. She's home 6:15. So you could, if you wanted to, get around 6, maybe 6:30, an hour to get ready, maybe an hour, 6:30. You'd be in bed by 10:30, get 8 hours of sleep. Could. It gives you 4 hours every day to do something. 4 hours. Is that a bad thing? You can also do stuff during your commute. Hopefully meeting people at work, right? And you have weekends, don't you? Here's the problem. She doesn't like it because she doesn't like her job and she can't TikTok anymore. You don't have time? Why are you TikToking? Yeah.
Shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out.
So you don't cook, you don't work out, and you spend time on TikTok.
Window, like, I'm so upset. I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like, how do you have time to, like...
You didn't already have friends? You didn't already have friends? So you have to find all new friends now? I mean, what she said makes no sense. She's just complaining. She's just whining. They have to complain. You are right, Mike. They have to complain. Why are you complaining? There's literally no need to complain. She spends time on her makeup, clearly. On her fake eyelash, she spends time on that. I'm not mad at her for it. But again, complain. You have time?
Meet, like, a guy. I don't know. Like, how do you have time for...
You want to meet a guy. Well, working a lot, complaining on TikTok, putting your life on TikTok, not cooking. None of those things are going to help you get a guy. Not working out, not going to help. Now, you could still find one, not going to help.
Like, dating, like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm, like, so stressed out.
Just recently, we saw with the ban on...
She decided that was the person to use. That's crazy. That was the person to use. Sarah, thank you so much for gifting Sharpe memberships. 5 of them, guys. Please grab the Sharpe memberships. I appreciate that. Please grab them up. Remember our rule. Remember a rule. If you make $2 million per month in income, you cannot take a gifted membership. If you make $2 million or more per month, you may not take Sarah's membership. If you make $2 million or more, buy a membership, $4.99. Do that. If you make less than $2 million a month, take a membership. I hope all of you make more than $2 million a month and you can't take the membership. That'd be amazing. But for those of you who make less than $2 million a month, please take the membership. If you make $2 million, don't take it. Don't be greedy. Pay the $4.99 if you make $2 million a month. All right. Anyway, let me go. Shan goes, again, he goes, I told you why they complain. Clicks, views, and likes. I have receipts. True. Yes. Kim says she has to get her priorities in order. She has a choice. Correct. You don't have to have that job in the city if you don't want to. Up to you. Choose your priorities, right? Choose your priorities. So look, Sarah comes in, give gifts, and then go. Sarah, you're the best. Hi, Sharpies. I'm super late. Can't really stick around, but I'm cheering for Sharpies and will return later to listen. Oh, thank you. Happy Friday. Thank you so much. I love that. Walked in, threw some gifts, and came. That's, you know what? Sarah, classy. Super classy. I do love that. That's amazing. Yes, indeed.
On TikTok, creators coming forward saying that this isn't just a fun app, but a necessity for their financial survival in this.
TikTok is a necessity for their financial survival. Is it though? Joel, look at you playing red pill on me. I bet the guy she wants to meet must be over 6'3" and make $250,000 a year. Look, if she lives in a city, she probably sees that, right? I talk often about city women. Women who work in a city really do, many of them think that way. It's true because they see so much of that type of, stuff in cities. Many women in cities do think that's true. Not all women think the opposite, but a lot of women in cities do. Yes, it is true. Yep. Sarah said thought it was $9 million. No. It was if you made $10 million this year, but then that other guy just recently said that billionaires, whatever, rich people, you're rich. He said, if you make $2 million a month in passive income. That was what Gary Stevenson said just last week. So I'm now using the new one from Gary Stevenson, who said you're rich if you make $2 million in passive income a month. So that's new, Sarah. That's why. That's new from Gary Stevenson. So now the previous rule was 10 million. The new rule is $2 million a month. So if you make $2 million a month or more, you're considered rich by Gary Stevenson's model. You may not take the free memberships. But if you make less, you're not taking memberships. So just so we're clear on that, that did change recently because of Gary Stevenson, just so you're clear. So now we're good.
Economy. So in our list of priorities, socializing usually gets kicked to the bottom when so many other things need more of our time.
Okay. TikTok is not a need. I'm sorry.
There are only
it's not a need. You've just made that up. Making lots of money is not a need. It is something you choose to do. And again, I'm not mad at you for saying, hey, money matters. I'm making a bunch of cash. I want to work hard. Go, girl. Be a boss, babe. I'm great. Stop complaining. Stop going on TikTok and whining the world's against you and blaming capitalism. You don't have to do this. You want to. Awesome. I've been there. I've done that. I've been to the point, Larry, custom everything Sharpe. I've been that guy. I'm not complaining. I'm not whining. I stopped. You can too. Michael says it. He says it right. Yeah, because she's on TikTok. 100%. Yes, it's because she's on TikTok. Goes on to say it's called time management. Yes, it is. You can change if you want to. You can make things. Super Weapon says it. This is video what adults called making choices. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Oh, Joel has some info I didn't know. Joel says so many financial advisors say you must have TikTok. I didn't know that. Okay, good to know. Good. Speaking of that, by the way, good timing for that one. By the way, tomorrow, guys, I will have a special Rumble show at 1 p.m. Eastern talking about personal finance with a guy named Jerome Bell. He has some ideas for personal finance. It'll be a Rumble only show tomorrow at 1 p.m. So if you want to watch if you want to watch that show, it'll be on Rumble only, 1 p.m. tomorrow, 1 p.m. Rumble only personal finances, talking about me and Jerome. We'll have a chat about that. Probably an hour or so. It'll be live. You guys want to come on board. I'll also be doing an AMA tomorrow at 7 p.m. ET. Tomorrow will be an AMA talking about AI. You might enjoy that one. And our members panel show is next Friday, May 2nd at 8 p.m. So next Friday, 8 p.m., May 2nd, I will have our members only show. Some of you have already clicked. I will see if I can grab some of you if I can. And also remember, if you are a member, you get to be on that show. So take those memberships. Somebody actually mentioned, say, hey, Larry, does it matter if my membership was free or if I paid for it? Does not matter. Members, you have a shot at being on a panel show if you want to. You will be here with me on a panel show. We'll be talking. And remember, members can also submit reaction videos. So I can do your video like this one that you want. Submit that if you want to also. So if you want to grab both of those, I do appreciate it. Let me go through this if I could.
So many hours in a day. And for most people, most of those hours are taken up by some form of labor, leaving little time and less energy left over for friendship.
That is absolutely a story that people say. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That's absolutely not. Yes. Something we just made up. You don't have to do that. It's your choice.
Places that used to be used for socializing are now being used sparingly as people can't afford it anymore and don't have the time for it. And this can turn into a never
The time is a lie. The affording is a lie.
cycle. For example, financial insecurity may require someone to work multiple jobs, resulting in less leisure time and limiting opportunities for social participation.
Or you can have a roommate. Or you can live at home with your family. Or you can have less goods and services. All those are possible too. All of those are possible. You don't have to do you don't have to do any of this. This is just made up. And that's why you start becoming lonely.
And connection, which in turn could provide fewer resources and financial opportunities.
Today I got both TikToks about like, you shouldn't live to work, you should work to live. And then the next TikTok was like, to live comfortably in America, you need to be making a minimum of $100,000 a year.
Okay, that's not true. Some parts of America, that's true, right? You live in New York City? Yeah, that's true. There's lots of places in this country you can live comfortably on $40K a year. It's possible, depending on where you live in this country. Not just that. If you have a roommate or live with family, you can live on less, can't you? You're splitting rent, or you're splitting the mortgage, or whatever the case may be. You're splitting bills, whatever the case may be, right? There's that too. Even if not, you're splitting things, you're splitting the workload. Any of those things. Absolutely.
Fortunately, the way society is set up, to enjoy your life, you always have to be making more money. It's always like the answer is making more money. I feel like
it doesn't have to be.
See so many like financial guru people on here trying to like give you.
Yeah. See, here's the problem. It's not out. They always self-report. They always telling themselves. Every time I say this in every show, and it's always true. They can't help but telling themselves constantly. It isn't capitalism. It is your desire. Your desire is what it is. Your personal greed, your personal desire, your personal pride that makes this happen. It is your personal pride. Pride is a sin. Greed is a sin. Envy is a sin. You have all of them. There's a reason why I'm not trying to be all preachy today. I guess I am being preachy today, but I'm not personally being preachy. I'm just saying this is a you problem, not a capitalism problem. You would think this way no matter what system you are in. This is a social media issue. You think that you have to do all these things because you see it on TikTok. You think you have to be a certain way because someone tells you it on TikTok. That's why you think you must do these things. You're not required to do any of these things. Any of them. You can just stop anytime you like. Literally today, you can do so. My daughter was worried about that, so she got a flip phone. My daughter's 20. She got a flip phone because she saw this one. I don't know if I can do this. She got a flip phone. You can buy a flip phone. They're becoming more popular. So you don't have all the TikToks and stuff. You can get rid of it. I hardly ever go on TikTok. I mean, I'm on TikTok, so you guys know, because I have to be, because it's a thing. So I'm on TikTok. I have a TikTok channel, but it doesn't do much very well because I don't care what people like her say. It's not valuable to me, right? I don't care. You think I live in New York City. Mike lives in New York City. Do you think me and Mike don't see people wearing a $3,000 suit? Of course we see that. Guys with $25,000 watches on. Of course, we've seen that before. Mike used to be a financial advisor. He was probably dealing with guys who were wearing $10,000, $15,000 watches, $4,000 suits. Of course. Does that mean we have to have it? No. Now, if we want to, it was someone I did. So I went and I bought those $3,000 suits. I did. I bought that $20,000. I did. I did that. I'm not blaming her for that. I'm not blaming you for that. That was me trying to be super cool guy. That's what that was. That's my fault. It's not hers. She's blaming everybody else. Not how that works.
These like next like hot tips, and it's always make more money. And it's like, that is not the most attainable thing for everyone. That's like,
agreed.
Some people can't just pick up a second or third job. Some people can't do side hustles and whatever. And then you know what you're doing? Then you're living to work. And that's what you have to do to make more money.
You could just
It's
stop.
this impossible cycle.
If we're only ever digging ourselves out of this hole that keeps getting deeper with the rise of cost of living, the housing crisis, and the rise of credit card debt, we will.
Yeah, but the housing crisis is not because capitalism. The housing crisis, the housing crisis is because government. That's true. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Mike's talking about. See, Mike, yeah, because I was wearing $3,000 suits. Yes, Mike was playing the game too. He was playing the same game I was playing. Yes, and the guys in the office had barbers come to them pricey. I remember those places we would all go and drop like $300 on the experience of a haircut. Remember that stupid shit? I remember that too. Yes. Yeah. Anyway. No more, my friend. No more. Absolutely. No more.
Never have time for what we actually need, which is community.
True. Community. Not because capitalism, though.
All of this has led us to what is now called the loneliness epidemic. Last year,
all of this has led. What's all of this? All this is capitalism. No. This is technology and greedy, prideful, envious women. This is what you showed me. You showed me. She was trying to say how bad capitalism was. But what she showed me was a bunch of greedy, prideful, envious women. That's what she showed me. So if I was watching this, I wouldn't think capitalism is bad. I would think greedy, envious, prideful women are bad. That's what I would think. That's what you showed me. You didn't show me anything else. You didn't even show me greed. To Mike's point, you didn't show me greedful, prideful, envious men. You didn't even show me any of those. You only showed me greedful, prideful, envious women. You didn't even show me any. Men are greedful and prideful too. I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying she didn't show me any. All she showed me was a bunch of women who are greedful and prideful. That's all she showed me.
The United States Surgeon General released an advisory calling attention to the public health crisis of loneliness.
Now it's 2023. They released it. She said earlier, we find ourselves in 2024 now with this.
A 2022 study found that when people were asked how close they felt to others emotionally, only 39% of adults in the US said that they felt very connected to others.
How was that capitalism?
Almost half of Americans in 2021 reported having 3 or fewer close friends. Only a quarter reported the same in 1990.
This has been on my mind a lot recently.
Is this a thing now? And I've noticed this. Women laying in a bed with full makeup on doing TikToks. That's a thing, isn't it? I've seen that a couple of times now. Looks like Meiji Ma Gabriel says, hey, Larry, love, I can get a heads up on Instagram, but can't watch now on the West Coast, and we'll watch a replay later on YouTube. Oh, of course. Yes, please do that. Yes. Thank you for all you share. Almost always on the same page with you. Thank you. So I have some fans on Instagram. I do appreciate that. Not as many on TikTok, though. That's for sure. Yes. Shredan over on Rumble says, Larry watches The View and TikTok too, so we don't have to. Yeah, but then I punish you with it here, and we laugh about it at least. At least we can laugh about it. It's something.
I've realized that every single girl I know in my life, every woman in her 20s that I know has been feeling lonely lately for some reason.
Yeah, I'm tired of feeling like my conversation is a burden to someone else's life.
You know why? Can I be very full with you? I wish he was watching. Often, and I meet a lot of women, and a lot of younger women hit on me. That's a true thing. I'm not being a jerk. I'm just being honest. A lot of them hit on me. And I get it. I am a good-looking man. I get it. So a lot of the girls hit on me. And their conversations are a burden because their conversations are all about them. That's why it's a burden. I'm not trying to be mean. If any of you are under 30 and you're listening to this, your conversations are often a burden because you won't stop talking about yourself. You simply won't stop. I've literally sat with women sometimes and they're talking to me and all I do is nod. That's it. I just nod because they just keep talking about themselves, not even asking about me, asking anything else. And then I did this, and then I know that, and then I did this, and then I know that, again and again and again. When you are prideful, when you are greedy, and when you are envious, you are a burden. When you're not that, and again, this goes for men too, don't get me wrong. She's talking about women, so men do the same shit. Yes, I try not to. People who've met me know that very often I try to get what other people are talking about, what they care about. That's important to me. That's why I do this live, so I can take your comments. So I try to do that. It's a burden when you have to be, to Kim's perfect point, the center of attention your entire spoiled life. That's when you're a burden. That's the reason why.
I'm tired of driving around for hours and wishing someone was in the passenger seat laughing with me.
How is that capitalism's fault? If she can drive around for hours, as she just said, if she can, you have time to stop someplace and meet some people, but you won't. You won't, because it's supposed to come to you because you think it's deserved. But let's blame capitalism.
I'm tired of wondering what it is about me that makes me the problem.
I just told you. I'm tired of wondering what makes me the problem. You're insufferable. That's the reason.
Recently, my life has been consumed by loneliness. I spend 6 out of 7 days a week alone without any human contact. The only day I see and speak to people is when I'm in the office for work. My friends and family are all at different stages of their lives to me.
Okay. They're all at different stages in your life. Okay, let me keep going here if I can. Number one, you made this video. You had to set this camera up multiple times, cuts, edits. That's hours. You spent at least 1 hour, if not 2 or 3 hours on this video. Why didn't you go someplace? Why didn't you go on an online meetup and talk to people online? Why didn't you go to a meetup in your local area? Why didn't you go to a bar or a club if you like dancing or drinking? There were so many ways that you could have met people, but you'd rather lay around and be a victim and blame yourself and go online and validate your pain versus going and doing something about it. So if I met you and you were interested, I was interested in being your friend, what would you talk about? I'm so lonely, I'm whining, I'm crying. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to date you. I don't want to do any of those things with you. Why would I?
Have a partner, some have a house, some have a baby, and some have...
Okay, here's a problem. There are different stages, you. That's common in families, right? Many people are on a different stage as you. Of course, that's a common thing. Now, why won't she talk to them and be with them? Because she will not submit herself to that at all. She has no empathy to say, let me go hang out with someone who, say, has a kid, or someone who doesn't have a kid, or someone who has a boyfriend or girlfriend, or someone who's taking care of an elderly parent, or someone who's retired. She can't connect because it's all about her. Main character syndrome will not allow her to be second to somebody else. Won't. Will not. During the lockdowns, I had 2 people in my life who were older, who were in their 80s, and they were worried. You know what I did? They didn't leave their house. They were scared because they were over 80 and they had visiting conditions, comorbidities, and they were scared. So you know what I did? I drove around and gave them stuff. I drove around. I did what they wanted me to do. Now, I hated the masking and the gloving. I hated it. But they were afraid. They wanted me to mask and glove. So I did. Why? Because I love them. That's the reason. I masked up and gloved up because it made them feel good because they were scared. So I did it. And I would do it again. Sadly, one of them has already passed. One has not. I would do it again for them. Why? I don't have to be main character every 5 minutes. You know what? They were in trouble. Their main character. I will be a supporting character. No worries. I love them. I would do it again. She can't do that. Her pride won't allow her to do that. Maybe she's got a sister who's got a kid or a cousin who's married. You can't show up at their event. You can't show up and hang out with them. You can't. Why? Because you feel bad because you don't have a kid? Because you feel bad because you don't? So what? Maybe if you hang out with those people, they might hook you up with somebody. You might learn to talk to people. You might not be insufferable. No, you'd rather do the biggest problem, social media. Without social media, she couldn't do this. She couldn't be validated on social media. This is not capitalism. This is TikTok. Ruining
Then
her.
there's me, a 26-year-old who's renting a flat, working full-time, and has a crippling phone addiction.
So clearly people are lonely.
She said it. They always self-report. They always self-report. Always. Literally. And has a crippling phone addiction. So it's the phone's fault. It's the phone's fault. Damn. Inanimate objects. It's their fault now. Okay.
But it does raise the question of what qualifies as being lonely. You might think that it's just from being alone, but social isolation and loneliness aren't actually the same thing. Loneliness has been defined by mental health professionals as a gap between the level of connectedness that you want and what you have.
This is accurate.
It's not the same as social isolation, which is codified in the social sciences as a measure of a person's contacts. Loneliness.
That's true. Look, I have on a personal level, and the people who know me well knows about me. On a personal level, once my father passed when I was 11, my family completely abandoned me. It was just me and my mom. I was alone forever. My mom was an addict. So I've been alone a lot of my life. A lot of my life I've been alone. So I have come to a point where I don't mind being alone. I don't. You may think, Larry, you're always hanging out with people. I'm an extrovert. That's true. Clearly, I'm an extrovert, right? But I also don't mind being alone at all. I can be alone, meaning meet no people at all, literally for days, and not be unhappy. I've learned to be that way. Mike Voss talks about this when him and I were chatting about this before, during his birthday show. We were talking about that. The idea that men are better at this than women are. Women can too, but men are better at this, that are able to adapt to almost anything. And as a teenager and as a kid, I was able to be alone so often that I've adapted to being alone for long periods of time and not feeling unhappy. Right? At one point, I want to meet people again, right? But I can easily spend 2, 3, 4, 5 days virtually alone, meeting almost nobody, and be fine with it and be okay. So that's true. The question, and some people who don't want to be alone don't like lots of people. You're probably that way. You know people that way. They like being with like 1, 2, 3 people. That's kind of what they like. You get past that, they feel kind of awkward. They like being on a couple of people, and that's what they like. And then more would be too much for them. They want to stay in that area. Now, if they're by themselves, they're unhappy, they're lonely, but they got 1 or 2 people, they're good. And again, we're all different in that regard. So it's true. Loneliness isn't necessarily just being by yourself.
This is a subjective feeling. People can have a lot of contact and still be lonely or be perfectly content by themselves. Now, an epidemic of loneliness might seem strange and not that big of a deal, but they've actually found a lot of negative health effects associated
No, it's a problem
with loneliness.
thing.
The effect of loneliness.
This part, I'm gonna walk away from that because that's all I need you guys to see. I wanted to bring this up because she's just going to talk about how bad loneliness is. And it is. For those who don't remember, if you want to, you can just Google Larry Sharpe and Joe Rogan. You'll see my Joe Rogan interview. And in it, I literally said, that's what's killing us. That's what's killing us. It's loneliness, lack of purpose, lack of community. What she says. And I said that now 7 years ago. It's still true. It's not capitalism. It never was. Every time people start talking about this, it's silly. People are lonely under communism. People are lonely under socialism. People are lonely under capitalism. People are greedy under all three. People are still people. Capitalism is the best system we've ever had. She admitted up front. Not perfect. Never said it was perfect. Does have problems. But once you add government into it, now it's wrecked and ruined. Now it is wrecked and ruined. We don't want this at all. Government. Capitalism is fine. It just is. Guys, I want to make sure you do me a favor. Please click that like button if you haven't already. It does matter tremendously. It is important. Remember, if you are a member, you took one of those memberships, please take one. Members can submit reaction vids. If you want me to react to some videos like this one, I'm happy to do so. Also, the members panel show is next Friday, May 2nd at 8 p.m. ET. I will be picking people. If you head on to the community or post tab on YouTube, and it's a post that only members can see. So if you're not a member, you can't see it. If you're a member, you can see it. And I'm telling you what I want you to do if you want to come on the show. So please do that. Tomorrow, 1 p.m., I have my Rumble only show. It'll be on finances. Also, 7 p.m., my regular show will be my AMA. It is important. Remember, the algorithm now is if you leave a comment after the live, please put a comment. Algo loves that. Mr. Rhythm loves that. So please do that if you would. Today, I'm asking you, if you don't mind, tell me, why do you think we're lonely? Why do you think we're lonely? Is it only tech? Is it greedy women? Right? What is it? Why do you think we're lonely? Is it society changing? What is making us lonely, and why do you care? I know why I care. I've done many shows on this. I've been concerned heavily about men more than women because of the violence aspect of men. But whichever you want, please do that. And of course, if you're watching this and it's not live, once this is done, please check out one of the videos you're going to see popping up here. Please do that, because the algo loves when you check another video right away. I will see you all very soon.